technology does one primary thing. It changes the way in which we see the world.
Simple. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
They're fun. Simple. Ready?
Yeah.
Listen. Simple. Ready?
Yeah.
They're fun. Listen. Ready? Simple.
Yeah.
I first started seeing David Wojnarowicz as a performer in a band called Three Teens Kill Four. And David was up there with a handheld tape recorder. And what David would do is he was always going around and he was just grabbing sounds. The same way as an artist, he just grabbed images, just this voracious appetite. And it would be a crazy person ranting on the street, or a preacher telling him what a sinner he was from his TV set, or two people fighting on the subway. He was just a master of all these different vernaculars, and he would be up there with his tape recorder, racing through it, kind of playing it to his ear. And when he found something he really liked, he'd stick it right up to the microphone, and he'd give you this crazy soundbite. David did the same thing in representational art.
Something's wrong, 'cause my mind is fading, and everywhere I look, there's a dead end waiting. Temperatures dropping at the rotten oasis, stealing kisses from the leprous faces.
Regardless of whether you are Andy Warhol or David Wojnarowicz, no matter what your subject or your image or your symbol is, what happens is that you have somewhat disparate images occurring in the same space, sharing their realm with pre-printed material in order to establish a free-floating dance of images which do not ever constitute one scene but represent a collision of a variety of scenes.
Got a devil's haircut in my mind. Got a devil's haircut in my mind.
He took collage as a way of understanding the way in which all this complexity of diverse experience comes together on a single plane.
Something's wrong, 'cause my mind is fading. Ghetto blasting, disintegrating. Rock and roll, you know what I'm saying. And everywhere I look, there's a devil.
I made lists and lists of associations around one element, and then edited them down into a concentrated series of symbols, and then started painting them.
He was a spiritual person in a time when spirituality was a bad word, where artists were saying that there's nothing you can feel that hasn't already been shown to you, and therefore you're copying from the media, that all gestures were basically dead. David Wojnarowicz, Keith Haring, Basquiat, others like that were kind of fighting against that.
You really are looking at a bunch of people who are coming out of punk rock and hip-hop who are tired of the sort of dry academicism that seems to have hijacked the art world, and they are just trying to, like, freshen things up.
Artists live in a particular moment historically and socially like everybody else, and they feel the pressures that everybody else feels. They frequently have a remarkable kind of openness and sensitivity to those pressures that normal people don't have. They're willing to tolerate the chaos and the disorder of confronting their experience directly, and that most people can't tolerate. It's like e pluribus unum. It's like what's on the back of our coins. This is so fundamental to the American experience, this notion of allowing different voices to express themselves to their fullness, and at the same time being part of a unified dialogue in which we all participate and which we all have a kind of ownership and faith in.
collage for him was not simply the assemblage of visual information that it worked with other people. It worked linguistically. And if you look carefully at The Death of American Spirituality, he's been very specific about the daily news cover he's put on there. It's the image of Oliver North